Good morning, West Jordan Lions. We're here watching this video together today to provide you with information and offer you support for anybody here at West Jordan Middle School that might be going through some difficult times now or in the future. We are going to talk about 4 universal truths about human life. And universal means it's true for everyone in the world. 4 universal truths are: number 1, stress is unavoidable. Number 2, life is difficult. Number 3, we all have an inner critic. And number 4, we are emotional beings. Hi, I'm Mrs. Petrovich from the Counseling Center, and I'm here to talk to you about the first universal truth: stress is unavoidable. Now, if you think about how much stress you have right now, put yourself on a scale from 1 to 20. This is what we're going to call a stressometer. So the stressometer measures your level of stress each day. If you feel like your stress is between 1 and 10, that's okay. We all have stress every day of our lives, but a stress level of 1 through 10 is a safe level. If you're feeling like your stress level today is between 11 and 20, that is the danger zone on the stress level. And that means you need to start thinking about doing something to fight the stress or the effects of the stress in your life. So we have different kinds of stress in our life that might be caused by coming back to school. You might have had friend drama. You might have family issues where there are problems in your family. Maybe your parents are asking you to do some things you don't want to do. And you might have had a loss in your life, like you've moved schools or you've moved your home. Maybe you've had a death in your family or a divorce, and all those things cause a lot of stress. So first off, we're going to talk about what you can do to reduce the stress in your life when you're in the danger zone. We have 6 specific ways that you can reduce your stress. I'm going to talk about the first 3. Number 1 is don't procrastinate. That means don't put things off that you know you have to do. If you have to do your homework, if you have to do your chores around your house, just get them done, because the more you put it off, the more you'll worry about it, the more your parents or your teachers might bother you about it, and the more stress it will cause. So do first things first, don't procrastinate. Number 2 is to form healthy habits. Form healthy habits by sleeping well, eating well, and exercising. And the third thing on my list today is to be creative. Get creative. For each of you, that will look different. Some of you might like to draw or paint or do crafts. Some of you might like to sing or play an instrument or dance. Some of you might like to write poetry or write in a journal. And while I'm talking about writing in a journal, I think I would love to have each one of you start writing a gratitude journal. That is actually the most important thing to reducing your stress, to see what is right in your life, to see what is good in your life. If you write down one thing every day that you're grateful for, that gratitude journal will go a long way in reducing your stress.
Hi everyone, this is Miss Jensen, one of your school psychologists. So a 4th activity that you can do to reduce your overall stress is incorporate a daily mindfulness practice. There's a lot of ways that you can do this, from meditating, mindful breathing, mindful eating, maybe keeping a journal, or even downloading a mindfulness app on your phone. The most important thing to do is just remember to take a couple moments in your day for yourself, just to have some quiet time and to check in with how you're feeling. The next thing that you can do, number 5, is going out and connecting with nature. So a lot of individuals that feel stressed, one thing that helps them is going out and just resetting in the outdoors. Now, you don't have to escape to the mountains and go deep into the forest to get the benefit from being outside. You can do things at home or in your neighborhood. If you have a pet, that might make this easier. So you can do something such as going on a walk, taking your dog for a walk, maybe playing with your animals outside. Another thing that you can do just throughout your day, if you're walking outside or walking home, is just taking a moment to look up, gaze at the clouds as they move across the sky, or notice the trees and the leaves kind of moving around in the wind. That can kind of help bring you back down and ground you a little bit. You could also try to wake up early and see the sunrise, maybe watch the sunset at night, do some stargazing later in the evening. The biggest thing is we just want you all to get outside, get some sunshine on your skin, and enjoy the beautiful world we live in. And then last, our sixth activity that we're talking about today, and this might be the first thing you do, is talking with somebody that you trust. So whether you have a day where you feel like everything is just going wrong, maybe you just feel super stressed or anxious that day, it's a good idea to reach out to somebody that cares about you and that you feel like will hear you, validate you, and you can trust to talk to. This might be a friend, a coach, a mentor, maybe a family member, a parent, maybe even one of our counselors, or maybe an outside therapist. There's also going to be a time when maybe your friends will come to you, and we encourage you to support them the best that you can by being a listening ear and really hearing them and helping them out. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about a technique that you can use when you're in that moment of crisis, when you feel that activated moment, when we think about fight, flight, or freeze. So this might be happening if you have some heightened anxiety, maybe you're feeling a little panicky, or just something is going wrong in your day and you can tell that you're getting really amped up. So this method that we like to use is called the ABC method. I'm going to go through each letter of our acronym and tell you the steps. So for A, we're going to very first take a deep mindful breath. So you're going to focus on inhaling with your nose and then taking a deep breath out with your mouth, and you really want to focus on a long extended exhale because that's what will really help you start to calm down and regulate. So that's our first step. So our second step, the B in our acronym, is both tapping and words. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands, you're going to use your thumbs as anchors, and you're going to attach them to the tops of your legs. And then with your 4 free fingers, we're going to tap each finger with a 4-syllable phrase with words attached to it. So 2 phrases that I really like to use are I am okay or I can do this. So what you really want to make sure you're focusing your attention on is the specific tap of the finger with the word that you're saying to yourself. And then lastly, our C, you're going to choose wisely. So since we're using this technique when we're super activated in our fight, flight, or freeze response, we want to focus on responding versus reacting. And when we're responding, we're taking a moment to think about things. So that's where our C comes into play, is choose wisely. So once we've calmed down a little bit, we're going to think about decisions that are best for us and for people around us. So C reminds you to come up with a decision that is best for you.
Hi students, this is Ms. Manji, soon to be Ms. Halls. I am a counselor in the Counseling Center, and this is my bunny Apollo. And we are here today to talk to you about the second universal truth, which is that life is difficult. And life is difficult for everyone. However, I remember being in middle school and not knowing this universal truth. I remember thinking, life should be easy. Why is my life so hard? And this led me to have thoughts like, is something wrong with me? Am I bad? Am I weird? Am I wrong? That caused a lot of stress, which could have been relieved by knowing this fact, that life is difficult and it's difficult for everyone. Knowing that life is difficult for everyone allows you to take some of that energy that you were using to blame yourself, or maybe blame other people, or blame your family, and put that energy into problem solving what could help you with life. Just like solving math problems makes us better at math, solving life problems actually makes us better at life. But the most important thing about this universal truth is that you are not alone. Remember, I said that life is difficult for everyone. That means our entire counseling team, we know this universal truth. And we are happy to sit down and talk with you about it anytime you want, and also to help problem solve things in your life. You could also find friends at school who know this universal truth. Friends who know that life is difficult for everyone face problems not by blaming themselves or blaming other people, but by trying to find solutions and seek connections and people who will help them with their life problems. That doesn't mean you can't be friends with people who don't know this universal truth, but picking a couple friends who do know this universal truth can help you support you as you face difficulty in life. And finally, one thing I see in middle school all the time is students who come upon a really difficult life problem, like a problem that is way too big for them, and they go to their friend group and they try to problem solve it with them. And these friends will be so involved. They'll want to help so much. They'll group text all night. They'll talk to each other on the phone, and they think that they're all helping the person with the life problem. But what actually happens is that everyone in the friend group just ends up really stressed out. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but when life problems get too difficult and too big for you to handle on your own, make sure you include a trusted adult. Try to find an adult who knows this universal truth that life is difficult, and someone who will help you find a solution and help you problem solve so that you don't have to take that on your own.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Irwin and I'm the social worker at our school. So I'm going to talk about the third universal truth, which is the inner critic. We all receive feedback from time to time. It's just a part of being a human being. And sometimes that feedback can be pretty negative. It can have an effect on how we feel about ourselves, our self-esteem and our self-image. So it's important to know how to take care of yourself in this area. So maintaining a positive self-image and positive self-esteem has a lot to do with how we respond to criticism. There's a lot of it out there. Some of it is just really harsh and downright mean. So it's important to be aware of how that affects us and what to do about that. There's another kind of criticism that's a self-criticism, right? When we're harsh to ourselves and we have negative feedback that we give to ourselves. The best way to deal with your inner critic or that harsh self-talk is, first of all, just to be aware of it, right? To pay attention to when you are saying negative things to yourself so that you can just recognize it, see it as feedback, and let it go, right? You don't have to listen to what it's telling you because most often it's not really accurate. And listening to it is going to be kind of damaging and not helpful to you. So you have to just say, hello, critic, thank you for that feedback, not necessary, and then move forward. If it's telling you something that you need to pay attention to, maybe there's a mistake you've made, it's okay to recognize that and to right the mistake that you've made or to work on that. Do it in a loving, kind way, right? If you're kind to other people, be kind to yourself. We sometimes say things to ourselves that we would never say to another person. If you wouldn't say it to someone else, don't say it to yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Marquez. I help students with the last names A through F. You can find me over in the counseling center. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about your emotions and how we are all emotional beings, and that's the fourth universal truth. I think it'd be good to give some examples of when I was your age, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. One of the emotions that sometimes we think is a given is that we have to be happy all the time. And although that is a great thing, a great emotion to have, it's kind of impossible to be happy all the time. I remember when I was a ninth grader and I tried out for the varsity basketball team, and it made me really anxious because I'm going up against, um, you know, kids that are 3 to 4 years older than me, and I was gonna be angry if I didn't make the team. I was gonna be really happy, um, but I was starting to get sad because I was hearing that I wasn't gonna make the team or whatnot, and I ended up looking the day they posted these tryouts and the day they posted the names. They would post them like on the gym wall, and I went down and I saw my name, and at that moment, it was probably one of the happiest things that happened to me. Um, but there was a lot of times that I would say that I don't know, I guess I was sad. Um, I remember getting in trouble in eighth grade. I actually got suspended, um, and having to call my mom, who doesn't speak very good English, from the office, and having to explain to her that I was suspended was terrifying. Some of you might be able to relate. I'm calling my Hispanic mom, and the one thing that she says to me is, "Wait till you get home." And so I'm going home. I took the long way home. I went really slow. And when I got home, my mom was waiting for me outside of my house. And you can imagine what happened, but it was this really sad point in my life. And I didn't want the decisions that I made kind of affect my schooling and how people thought of me. And so I decided to make some changes. And just like those changes that I made in my personal life, our emotions change. They're kind of like the seasons. There are times when we're going to be happy. There are times when we're going to be sad. There's times when we're going to have some pretty tough anxiety. And we're going to have anger. But they go away. Like yesterday at work, it was a very stressful day, and it made me really anxious. But when I got home, I was happy to see my family. So even as adults, we experience these fluctuations in our emotions. As teenagers, I mean, it is really tough sometimes, and we forget what it's like to be a teenager as adults. But as counselors, as psychologists, social workers, everyone at the school, we're here to help you kind of navigate through those feelings. We never want you guys to feel like you're alone. It's just important to reach out for help when you don't know how to navigate through these emotions. So yeah, we're here to help you.
Hi students, Dr. Levitt here. So I want to talk a little bit specifically about suicide because this is a suicide prevention project. Number one, it's very prevalent. About 1 million people die a year by suicide. We've got about 40,000 people that die in the United States every year. And it's the second leading cause of death in young people ages 15 to 24. So it's something we're really concerned about. There are some myths that if we talk about suicide, it's going to actually trigger more people to be thinking about it, and that's actually not true. The more we can openly talk about how we feel and share how we feel, including suicidal ideation, the better off people are, and lives can be saved by talking about it. Another thing that people think is that some individuals talk about suicide just for attention, just to try to get attention, and that is not the case. People that are talking a lot about suicide are crying out for help. These people typically are suffering, they're in pain, and they need some assistance. They need somebody to listen to them and take them seriously. Another myth is that if somebody is already suicidal, there's nothing that can be done about it, and that's also false. Okay, there's a lot that can be done with people that are having this kind of thinking. And oftentimes, when people come in and talk and directly work on the problems they're having in life or some of the triggers to suicide, they can actually feel better and have a better life than they had before they came in. So things can definitely improve by coming in and talking. I want to give you a technique for helping a friend that might be suicidal. It's called QPR. So think of CPR as a way of sustaining life for some kind of a physical problem. So for an emotional problem, for suicidal thinking, we can use a technique called QPR. So the Q stands for ask questions. Ask your friends questions about how they're thinking, what they're thinking about. If they say they're suicidal, ask if they have a specific plan, if they're really serious about it. Express your concern, but also get the facts out. The P stands for try to persuade them to go in a different direction with this, to talk to somebody, to find somebody that they trust, that they can spend some time sharing their feelings with. And certainly people in the counseling center, we have so many amazing people down there. Talk to a teacher, talk to some adult, that you trust in your life. So we want them to be thinking in terms of the support that they have all around them, and you can persuade them to access this support. You can also escort your friend down to the counseling center. If they don't want to go alone, you can say, okay, we're going together. And then the R stands for if your friend is not going to, if they're actively resisting help, if they're not going to get help, then you can come independently to the counseling center and you can say, I'm really worried about my friend. This is my friend I'm worried about, and this is why, and then we can take it from there. So you can kind of pass the baton to us. Your friend is not going to hate you for this. This is what being a true friend is. So the other thing I want to mention is that there's several triggers, things that cause people to start thinking about taking their own life. And one of the triggers is bullying. So people that are getting bullied, that are getting harassed, that are getting mocked, put down, those people are majorly at risk for suicide. So we want to be so careful with this. We want to be mindful that we're not hurting people in this way, okay? Because you never know what's going on inside of people. And you can't tell by watching their actions or by the expressions on their face. Sometimes we can get them on a really negative path just by the smallest comment. So try to practice kindness, okay? So this is Dr. Levitt. We love you guys. We care about you. If anybody has issues in this area, we want to help you through. We want to help you have a better life. We're not going to let it go. We're going to take it seriously, and we're going to be with you every step of the way. Okay? Thanks for listening.
Another great resource that we have for you guys is a suicide hotline. So similar to 911, this one's just 988. So 988 if you are in a suicide crisis or anyone you know is in a suicide crisis. And then one more quick phone number for you guys. I know you guys all have cell phones, so you can even program this into your phone. It's 1-833-SAFE-FAM. Again, 1-833-SAFE-FAM. And that's a great phone number that you can call if you or any of your family's in just a crisis. So not even suicide, but a crisis that you guys might need some extra help in or anything like that. Once again, 833-SAFE-FAM.
Students, we love you, we care about you, you matter to us, and you belong here at our school. Now that this lesson is complete, please open your Canvas announcements page and click the link on the home page. This will take you to our exit survey. The survey will ask you some questions about you and your experiences. It will also ask you to give us advice on how we can increase your sense of belonging at our school.